So I wanted to talk about LSU's recent recruiting class, the 2023 class, the incoming class this year. So a guy I really like Shelton Sampson a lot, the wide receiver, four-star guy right from Baton Rouge, right from their backyard. I think Sampson is a guy who's got a really good overall skill set. I think that Sampson I think he's going to be a guy that's going to make an impact right away. I think he's going to make catches. I think he's going to make plays for LSU. This guy that you see the contested catch ability, the body control, his feet are so quick, and he is so good at getting off of man coverage, beating press man coverage. This is just and he is listed as 6'4". He's probably not actually that tall, but this is a guy that's probably every bit of 6'2". Maybe, I don't know, maybe he is 6'3", and he listed at 181. He looks even thicker than that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room. I think there's even more room for growth for Shelton Sampson, but I think he's got a path to get on the field and make an impact right away based on the skill set I've seen from watching his high school tape. But another guy, Jalen Brown, another four-star wide receiver that LSU got. A lot of people excited of how well LSU recruited the wide receiver position. Jalen Brown is a guy who I wasn't as impressed as Sampson, but I think Brown is a guy who will help this LSU offense. He's a guy that can stretch the field, win vertically with his long speed. He's a guy that I think he's going to need mostly free releases off the line of scrimmage to get open. So I think he's a guy that will mostly play in the slot, listed about 5'11". That's what I would have guessed, maybe 5'10 and a half, 5'11 from looking at him. But Brown, he's a talented guy. He's got hands. He can, you don't see a lot of adjusting to the ball necessarily, but can win the 50-50 balls, can concentrate, can make catches in traffic with a guy draped all over him. So Jalen Brown, another four-star they got. So yeah, I want to touch on him, Shelton Sampson Jr. DJ Chester, interior offensive lineman. They landed four-star guy. From out of Georgia. Chester was a guy who I love the aggressiveness this guy plays with. I think he's relentless. No one challenges this guy's anchor. I know it might be because he's just playing against just a lot smaller guys in high school, but his anchor was not tested at all. And you see when he was sustaining pass blocks, you see the upper body strength was on full display. I mean, he had, like full control upper body wise of defenders. So DJ Chester, this is another guy. Zealand's Hurd, their top recruit from this past year, the offensive tackle, gets a lot of praise, and rightfully so. But DJ Chester, this guy is no slouch, and maybe there's a path for him playing in year one. I know LSU is really strong. They're starting five on the offensive line, but DJ Chester, there's rumors that he is the future at center. I think he can play. I think this is a perfect recruit for LSU because this guy has the versatility to play all three positions on the offensive line, whether that's center, guard, or tackle. They had him playing tackle just because in high school you want to put your best offensive lineman at tackle. But this guy, I think, has a very bright future at guard, tackle, or center. So basically, wherever they want to play this guy on the offensive line, I think DJ Chester is going to have a lot of success and do a lot of great things. Next guy, Jackson Howard. This guy from 6'4", 245, edge rusher out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. This guy is a pure, I shouldn't say pure, but this guy is mainly a speed rusher. He's got incredible pursuit, really good, not just acceleration, but really good speed overall. It was a fun watching him track down ball carriers. I think Howard and Womack are pretty similar guys. These are the two top edge rushers they landed. Womack, another 5-star. I think they're two similar guys. I think that their game's going to be built on winning with speed, maybe winning on stunts, firing through the middle, shooting gaps, tracking down ball carriers. whether that's from tracking down ball carriers with relentless pursuit from behind or chasing down wide receivers on screens. I think that is going to be primarily Jackson Howard and Womack's game. But Jackson Howard, super fun watch, and this is a guy who is really going to add some depth to the defensive line unit. Quincy Wiggins too. I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if you listen to the Savion Jones interview, Savion Jones said Quincy Wiggins certainly is a guy who's one of the breakout candidates for LSU this year. Wiggins was a pretty big time recruit coming out of high school. This is a guy he's a very good athlete. A guy his game is predicated on speed, kind of a lot like Howard and Womack. Quincy Wiggins, though, he was a freshman this year, played just a little bit, but he's a guy that, like Savion Jones, they're both breakout candidates because Quincy Wiggins you see a lot of athleticism. You see, leaping ability, can jump up, deflect passes, explode in the backfield, disrupt havoc back there. So yeah, Savion Jones was talking about how lean and how ripped he is. So that usually is an indicator of a guy's play. If he has a good, lean, muscular body, it shows that, number one, he works hard, and it shows that, two, being in as good a shape possible, regardless of position, is going to really help you to have success in sports. So Quincy Wiggins, he's number 93 for LSU, played a little bit as a freshman. I had to go back and scout some of his high school tape to kind of really get a feel for his play. But yeah, I think Quincy Wiggins is a guy that's going to get more snaps this year, and it'll be certainly a fun guy to watch for LSU. But yeah, going back to Savion Jones. I've talked Savion Jones a lot just because I think he reminds me of Mekhi Wingo. I think he's going to be a guy that if things come together and LSU wins an SEC championship, I think a lot of that success is going to be predicated on the play of Savion Jones. I think he's certainly an X factor. I think he's certainly a guy that's in the running for being an unsung hero to the success that the LSU football team will likely have. Savion Jones, if you go back at LSU, you do see a lot of what you saw in high school has translated with Savion Jones. He does have some power. He's strong at the point of the attack. He can set the edge. He is good against the run. Jones is a guy who wins. He can, he does. Yeah, like I said, speed to power. He's a guy that can blitz on stunts. He's an aggressive competitor, and he's been through some adversity as a kid. And, so Savion Jones, really like what he brings to the table. He's going to be a guy to watch for LSU this year. Comoran Pimpton, 4-star tight end, is a guy that's going to be a true freshman this year in 2023 for LSU. Pimpton was an interesting watch. He is a guy who he doesn't really explode off the line of scrimmage. They move him on the outside and in the slot at tight end, so he doesn't really explode off the line of scrimmage. And his route running's okay, but I'll say this about Pimpton: this is a guy that can go up and get it. He can win contested catches. When he does get the ball in the hand, he's kind of a straight liner in the sense that when he does get the ball in his hand, he can burst upfield quickly. Doesn't break a whole lot of tackles after the catch, but certainly has the ability to do so at 6'6", 210. He's a pretty solid build, a guy has room to build some more muscle. So Comoran Pimpton, one of the talented tight ends that LSU's landed for next year. Another guy was Mac Markway. Brian Kelly seemed high on Mac Markway. Mac Markway he's going to be a guy that he's probably going to make a living as a blocker, but I think he does have some upside as a pass catcher as well. Whit Weeks was a linebacker they landed. They have his brother transferring to LSU from Virginia. Whit Weeks, though, 4-star linebacker out of Watkinsville, Georgia. He was, when you turn on his tape, it starts off with him at running back. He was a talented running back as well, which a lot of really athletic linebackers played a running back in high school. But what I liked about Whit Weeks was this is a guy they mostly played kind of at will linebacker. Looked like they ran some 4-3 sets. He's a guy that can cover in the slot. when teams ran speed options, his side-to-side movement and his ability to read play, burst, go make a tackle was on full display. So I'm a fan of what Whit Weeks brings to the table. I think he is a good overall athlete. He can make tackles in the open field. He's got really good form as a tackler. So I think this is a guy that could be a really rock-solid linebacker for LSU. Is he going to get on the field next year with Omar Spates, Harold Perkins? I don't know. But this is certainly a guy, I think this year will be a good special team, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I think he eventually will be a starter at LSU, and I think he does have some upside when he does become a starter. Caleb Jackson. So Caleb Jackson, not as highly, so he's not one of the more talked about guys for this LSU recruiting class just because he's a lower 4-star. But when I say lower 4-star, I don't mean that with any disrespect. This is a guy who this is a guy that can really just explode upfield. He's got really good long speed, can break long runs. But a lot of running backs, though, it's kind of hard. Running back to me is kind of a hard position at times to evaluate in high school just because most running backs, it seems like at the high school level, can break long runs. But with Caleb Jackson, it looked different. Like it looked like he was really, moving. It looked like he was really covering some ground and leaving people in the dust. He can really burst out of cuts well. His change of direction is good. He can make people miss in the open field. So Caleb Jackson was a super fun watch. And like I said, the long speed on full display. You see the 70-plus yarders. Making guys miss in the open field, thick lower body. So yeah, it was fun, exciting to watch Caleb Jackson's highlights. I think I don't know if he's gonna be in the mix to get potential snaps at running back. I think to me, I think Caleb Jackson is gonna have to have like an extremely good fall camp. I think he's going to have to be a guy that's physically mature and ready to play right away if he wants to get significant snaps and avoid kind of a red shirt and limited playing time this year, just because I think LSU is, I'm not just going to say they're locked into who they have at running back, but they have so much depth at running back that if Caleb Jackson isn't, like I said, physically mature and ready to play right away, then I don't think he's going to get on the field, just because with Goodwin, Josh Williams, you bring in Logan Diggs, a transfer from Notre Dame, some other guy, a few other guys they have. LSU with their overall depth at running back, it's if you feel like that this would be a good time for them to redshirt Caleb Jackson unless he just absolutely tears it up at camp, and he's so ready to play and so makes such a good impression on the coaching staff that you got to get him on the field year one. But yeah, Trey Holly was another running back they landed, Farmerville, Louisiana. He looks like a nice player as well. Showed some nice things from what I saw in his highlights. Thanks for tuning in to Bayou Bengals football, guys. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.